Chapter 1. The 3 a.m. Call. The phone shattered the silence like glass dropped on stone. 3:07 a.m. I knew before I even opened my eyes that this wasn't a wrong number. At my age 71, with arthritis in my knees and grief in my bones, you learn to read the air. And that night, the air was screaming. I fumbled for the receiver, my knuckles cracking as I gripped it too tight. "Hello, Grandma." Her voice was thin, frayed at the edges, like a thread about to snap. "He's back." My blood turned to ice. It was Lily, my 10-year-old granddaughter. The one who used to laugh so loud the neighbors would smile through their fences. The one who painted sunflowers on my kitchen walls and whispered secrets into my ear during thunderstorms. Now she sounded like a ghost. "Who's back, sweetheart?" I asked, already swinging my legs over the edge of the bed, my bare feet hitting the cold hardwood floor. "The man in my room," she whispered. "He's standing by the closet again. And he's smiling." I didn't ask how she knew. I didn't say, "It's just a dream." Not this time. Because 3 nights ago, she'd said the same thing. And 2 nights before that. And each time I'd checked. Found nothing. Told myself it was stress. That new school. The divorce. The silence between her and her mother. But tonight, something in her voice didn't belong to a child. It belonged to someone who'd seen the edge of the world and stepped back just in time. "I'm coming, Lily," I said, already moving. "Don't move. Don't speak. Just stay on the line." I didn't bother with slippers. Didn't turn on the lights. I knew every creak in these old floorboards by heart. This house, my house in rural Oregon, had sheltered 3 generations of my family. My husband, my daughter, Mara, and now Lily. But tonight, it felt like a cage. I took the stairs 2 at a time, my breath ragged, my heart hammering against my ribs like it wanted out. When I reached the hallway, the door to Lily's room was slightly ajar. A sliver of amber light spilled onto the floor, trembling. I pushed it open. She was curled in the far corner of her bed, knees drawn to her chest, arms wrapped around herself like she was holding her own pieces together. Her eyes, wide, wet, unblinking, locked onto mine the second I entered. She didn't cry. She just pointed. To the closet. I crossed the room in 3 strides. Yanked the doors open. Inside, dresses, stuffed animals, a half-finished puzzle on the shelf. Nothing out of place. Nothing hiding. "See?" I said, forcing calm into my voice. "No one's here." But Lily shook her head, tears finally spilling over. "He was. I heard him laugh when you started climbing the stairs." I sat beside her, pulled her into my lap. She was shaking. Not from cold, from terror. Her skin was clammy, her pulse fluttering like a trapped bird under my fingertips. "It's okay," I murmured, stroking her hair. "I've got you." But even as I said it, I didn't believe it. Because the room felt wrong. Not empty. Watched. I held her tighter, scanning the shadows. The window was locked. The curtain still. The night outside quiet, too quiet. Then, a sound. A soft scritch-scratch, like fingernails on wood. From under the bed. Lily gasped, burying her face in my shoulder. "He's there," she whispered. "He always hides thereafter." My stomach dropped. I didn't want to look. Every instinct screamed to grab Lily and run. But I had to know. Slowly, I lowered myself to my knees. The floor was freezing. My joints protested, but I ignored them. I leaned forward, peering into the darkness beneath the bed frame. At first, nothing. Then a glint. Something metallic. Small. Reflecting the dim light from the nightstand. I reached under, my fingers trembling, and pulled it out. A phone. Not Lily's. Not mine. This one was sleek, black, expensive. I'd seen it before on the nightstand in the master bedroom. In the hand of the man who'd married my daughter 6 months ago. Daniel Reeves. My son-in-law. The man who fixed our leaky faucet, who read Lily bedtime stories, who brought me soup when I had pneumonia. The man who now had his phone, hidden under my granddaughter's bed at 3 a.m. I froze. My mind raced. Maybe he dropped it. Maybe he came to check on her But no. Because Lily whispered, her voice breaking, "He told me if I told you, you'd disappear." I looked at her. Really looked. And in her eyes, I saw the truth I'd been too afraid to face. This wasn't imagination. This wasn't nightmares. This was real. And I had failed her. I tucked the phone into the pocket of my robe, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. "Shoo," I said, pulling her close again. "You're safe now. I won't let anyone hurt you. Not ever again." She clung to me like I was the only solid thing in a collapsing world. I stayed with her until her breathing evened out, until her small body went slack with exhausted sleep. Only then did I rise. I crept out of her room, closed the door softly, and stood in the hallway, gripping that phone like a live wire. Downstairs, a floorboard creaked. I turned. Daniel stood at the bottom of the stairs, wearing pajama pants and a tired smile. "Everything okay, Carol?" he asked, voice smooth as butter. I heard voices. My throat tightened. But I forced a smile. "Just Lily. Bad dream." He nodded, rubbing his eyes. "Poor kid. You know, maybe she needs a nightlight. Or maybe we should talk to someone. A therapist." The way he said it, so reasonable, so concerned, made my skin crawl. "Maybe," I said, stepping down the stairs, keeping my robe closed over the phone. "But for now, she just needs her grandma." He watched me pass, his eyes lingering a second too long on my face. "You're a good woman, Carol," he said quietly. "Mara's lucky to have you." I didn't answer. Because in that moment, I made a promise, not to him, not to my daughter, but to the little girl upstairs who'd been silenced by fear. I will burn this whole life down before I let him touch her again. And I meant it. Even if it meant losing everything. Even if it meant becoming the monster they'd call me. Because some truths are worth the fire. Chapter 2. The phone in my pocket. I didn't sleep that night. Not a single minute. I sat in my rocking chair by the window, the black phone heavy in my lap, its screen dark like a dead eye. Outside, the Oregon pines swayed in the wind, their branches scraping against the roof like fingernails on glass. Every rustle made my pulse jump. Every creak of the house felt like a footstep. Daniel was still awake. I could hear him moving downstairs, soft, deliberate. Not the clumsy shuffle of a man half asleep. No, this was calculated, controlled, like he was waiting. For me. I gripped the phone tighter. It wasn't just a phone. It was a confession. A trail. A weapon. But I couldn't access it. No password. No fingerprint. And if I tried to force it open, he'd know. He'd know I'd found it. And men like Daniel don't panic. They adapt. They erase. They retaliate. I needed proof. Real proof. Not just a missing phone under a child's bed. Something undeniable. Lily's words echoed in my skull. "He told me if I told you, you'd disappear." My stomach twisted. Not I'd leave. Not I'd be mad. Disappear. That wasn't a threat from a man afraid of getting caught. That was a promise from a predator who'd done this before. I thought back to the first time I met him. 6 months ago. Mara had just finalized her divorce from that brute. Rick, the one who used to slam doors so hard the pictures fell off the walls. She was fragile, hollow-eyed, trying to rebuild. And then Daniel appeared. Charming. Educated. A high school counselor with a master's degree and a volunteer award from the county. He brought Mara flowers. Fixed her car. Sat with Lily for hours helping her with fractions. He even cried at their wedding, real tears, he said, because he finally found a family. I believed him. We all did. But now I saw the cracks. The way he'd linger in Lily's doorway when Mara wasn't looking. The way he'd jokingly say, "You're my girl now, Lil." No secrets from Pops. The way Lily stopped drawing. Stopped singing in the shower. Started flinching when doors closed too fast. I dismissed it as adjustment. trauma from her father. But trauma doesn't make a child whisper. He touches me when Grandma sleeps. I stood, my knees cracking, and walked to the closet. Pulled out my old sewing box, the one with the false bottom. Slid the phone inside, beneath spools of thread and rusted thimbles. If he searched my room, he wouldn't think to look there. Then I went to the kitchen. Made coffee. Loudly. Clattered the pot. Hummed a tune I hadn't sung in years. Let him think I was calm. Let him think I bought his act. By 5 a.m., the sky was gray. I heard Mara stir upstairs. A moment later, Daniel's voice a soft, soothing, morning love. Sleep okay? I poured 2 mugs. Left one on the counter for him. When he came in, he was freshly showered, hair combed, wearing that crisp white shirt he always wore on school days. The one that made him look like a man you could trust with your child's future. Thanks, Carol, he said, taking the mug. His eyes flicked to mine, just for a second, but I saw it. The calculation. The question, did she see it? You're welcome, I said, smiling. Lily had a rough night. Bad dream about shadows. He nodded slowly, sipping his coffee. Kids' imaginations run wild. Maybe we should get her a nightlight. Or talk to the school counselor. He chuckled. Oh wait, that's me. I laughed too. Light. Carefree. Like a woman who hadn't just stared into the abyss under her granddaughter's bed. But inside, I was screaming. After he left for work, I found Mara in the laundry room, folding towels. She looked exhausted. Dark circles under her eyes. Marriage hadn't healed her. It had just given her a new kind of fatigue. Mom, she said, not looking up. Did Lily really have a nightmare again? She did, I said carefully. But she's okay now. Just clingy. Mara sighed. She's been so distant lately. Daniel says she might need therapy. Maybe, I said. Or maybe she just needs time. I wanted to tell her. God, I wanted to grab her shoulders and shake the truth into her. Your husband is a monster. He's been in her room at night. He has his phone under her bed. But I knew what would happen. She'd defend him. She'd say I was paranoid. That I didn't like him from the start. That I was jealous of her happiness. Because that's what they do. They make you doubt yourself. They make your love for your child look like hysteria. So I stayed silent. Instead, I called Dr. Elena Ruiz, the only child psychologist in the county who specialized in trauma. We'd met years ago at a community fundraiser. She remembered me. And when I said, it's about Lily. It's serious, she didn't ask questions. She just said, bring her at noon. Back in trance. At 11:45, I walked Lily to the car. She held my hand so tightly her nails dug into my skin. Are we going to the doctor, Grandma? Yes, sweetheart. But not for shots. Just to talk. She nodded, eyes wide. About the man? Yes, I whispered. About the man. Dr. Ruiz's office was small, warm, filled with books and soft blankets. No toys, too triggering. Just a couch, a box of tissues, and a window that looked out onto a quiet garden. Lily sat curled in the corner, silent. Dr. Ruiz didn't push. She just sat across from her, voice low. Lily, I'm not here to make you say anything. But if you want to tell me what scares you, I'll believe you. Always. Lily looked at me. I nodded. And then, in a voice so small it barely existed, she said, he comes when the house is quiet. He sits on my bed. He says I'm special. He says if I tell, you'll go away forever. Dr. Ruiz didn't flinch. Didn't gasp. She just leaned forward. Has he touched you? Lily nodded. Tears fell. On my legs. My back. Once, my face. Dr. Ruiz's jaw tightened. She turned to me. Carol, I need to file a mandatory report. Right now. My blood ran cold. The police won't believe us. They have to, she said. But more than that, we need evidence. Does he have a phone? A computer. I told her about the black phone under the bed. Her eyes lit up. If it's his, and it's been in her room, that's physical evidence of presence. especially if it's missing from his possession. But I can't access it. Don't, she said sharply. Leave it untouched. If we can prove it's his, and it was found in her space at night, that's enough for a warrant. She called Child Protective Services while I held Lily's hand. Then she handed me a card. This is Detective Naomi Chin. She handles child abuse cases. Call her. Tell her everything. I did. Naomi's voice was calm, professional. Bring the phone. Don't turn it on. Don't touch the screen. Wrap it in a clean cloth and bring it to me. I hung up, heart pounding. But as I stepped outside Dr. Ruiz's office, my phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. Hey Carol, can't find my phone. Did Lily maybe pick it up again? She loves playing with it. My blood turned to ice. He knew. He knew I had it. And he was testing me. I typed back, fingers steady despite the tremor in my chest. No, haven't seen it. Maybe check your car? 3 dots appeared. Then, will do. Thanks. I looked down at Lily, who was staring at the ground, trembling. We're going to be okay, I whispered. But I wasn't sure I believed it. Because now, the game had changed. He wasn't just watching Lily anymore. He was watching me. And I had just made myself his next target. Chapter 3. The Note Under the Pillow. I didn't expect him to move so fast. By the time I got home from Detective Chen's office, phones safely handed over, case number logged, Lily clinging to my side like a shadow, the sun was high, but the house felt colder than ever. Mara was in the kitchen, humming as she chopped onions. Normal. Domestic. Oblivious. Daniel's out running errands, she said without looking up. Said he lost his phone and needs a new one. My stomach dropped. He was already rewriting the story. Not, did you see my phone, but I lost it. Clean. Convenient. Deniable. I forced a smile. Kids these days. Always dropping things. Lily didn't speak. She just went straight to her room and shut the door. I followed her 10 minutes later with a mug of warm milk, her comfort ritual since she was 3. When I opened the door, she was sitting cross-legged on the bed, staring at the wall. Here you go, sweetheart, I said, placing the mug on her nightstand. She didn't touch it. Instead, she pointed to her pillow. There's something under it. I frowned. What do you mean? She just shook her head, eyes wide. I lifted the pillow, and there it was. A folded slip of white paper. Neat. Precise. Typed, not handwritten. I unfolded it with trembling fingers. You should have minded your own business, old woman. Next time, it won't be just a note. No signature. No emoji. No flourish. Just cold, clean threat. My breath caught in my throat. I crumpled the note and shoved it into my pocket before Lily could read it. It's nothing, I whispered, forcing calm into my voice. Just a flyer I must have dropped. But she knew. She always knew. Is he going to hurt you, Grandma? I knelt beside her, cupping her face in my hands. No one is going to hurt anyone ever again. I promise. But the lie tasted like ash. Because I knew Daniel wasn't just protecting himself. He was testing me, seeing how far I'd go. And if I flinched, he'd strike. That night, I didn't sleep in my room. I dragged my old armchair into Lily's doorway, wrapped myself in a quilt, and sat with a kitchen knife in my lap. Not because I'd use it, but because I needed to feel like I had a chance. At 2:17 a.m., the floorboards creaked. Not from Lily's room. From the hallway. I froze, gripping the knife. A shadow passed under the door. Slow. Deliberate. Then silence. I waited 10 minutes before creeping to the edge of the doorway. The hallway was empty, but the air smelled faintly of his cologne, sandalwood, and something sharp, like bleach. He'd been here. Watching. Waiting. The next morning, I called Detective Chin before sunrise. He left a threat, I said, voice low. Typed note under her pillow. There was a pause. Then, bring it in. And Carol, don't confront him. Don't let him know you're scared. Predators feed on fear. I'm not scared, I lied. But I was. Not for me. For Lily. By noon, I had a plan. I couldn't wait for warrants, for bureaucracy, for Mara's denial to crumble. Daniel was too smart, too connected. He'd bury the evidence, charm the judge, paint me as a bitter old woman jealous of her daughter's new life. No, if justice was going to come, it would come from me. I drove to the public library, the only place in town with free Wi-Fi and no cameras. Logged into a burner email I'd created years ago for online flower orders. Sent a message to every parent at Lily's school. Subject: urgent, about Mr. Reeves. My granddaughter is in Mr. Reeves' 5th grade class. Over the past month, she's become withdrawn, anxious, and afraid to sleep alone. She says he watches her too long after class and once touched her shoulder and didn't let go. I'm not accusing. I'm asking, has your child said anything similar? Reply anonymously if you're uncomfortable. But please don't ignore this. A concerned grandmother. I hit send. Then I waited. For 2 days, nothing. Mara asked why I was so jumpy. Daniel smiled more, touched my shoulder when he passed me in the hall, just long enough to make my skin crawl. Then, on the 3rd night, my phone buzzed. An email. From PANICKING 723. My son is in his class too. Last week, he said Mr. Reeves asked him to stay after school to talk about his future. When he refused, Mr. Reeves said, "You'll regret that." My son hasn't slept through the night since. I didn't want to believe it. But thank you for speaking up. Another came an hour later. From Mom of 2. My daughter came home crying last month. Said Mr. Reeves told her she was special and didn't need friends. I thought it was weird, but he's so respected. I didn't push. Are you going to the police? I forwarded both to Detective Chin. She replied within minutes. This is enough for a search warrant on his school locker, home office, and devices. But I need you to keep him distracted tomorrow. Can you do that? Yes, I whispered. The next morning, I baked Daniel his favorite cinnamon rolls. Left them on the counter with a note, for the man who keeps our family together. He read it at breakfast, eyes softening. You're too kind, Carol. I've been thinking, I said casually, pouring coffee. Maybe I was wrong about Lily. Maybe she just needs more time with you. You're her only father figure now. His smile widened. That means a lot. Perfect. While he was at school, police searched his office. They found nothing on his computer, wiped clean. But in his desk drawer, beneath grading rubrics, they found a small key. It opened a locker at the local gym. Inside, a second phone. And on it, photos. Dozens of them. Lily sleeping. Lily in the shower, taken through a cracked bathroom door. Lily changing clothes. All time-stamped. All recent. Detective Chin called me, voice tight. We have him. But he'll lawyer up the second he knows we're close. We need to move fast. That evening, I sat at the dinner table, hands folded, face calm. Daniel was cheerful. Told a story about a student who'd finally passed his math test. Mara beamed at him like he'd hung the moon. I waited until dessert. Then I said, Daniel, Lily told me something strange today. He froze mid-bite. Oh, she said you've been coming into her room at night. That you touch her. Silence. Mara laughed nervously. Mom, not this again. But Daniel didn't laugh. He set his fork down slowly. Looked at me with eyes like ice. Lily's confused, he said softly. She's been through a lot. Maybe she's mixing up dreams with reality. Maybe, I said, holding his gaze. Or maybe she's finally telling the truth. Mara stood up, furious. Carol, stop this. You're tearing this family apart over nightmares. I'm protecting my granddaughter, I said evenly. Daniel stood too. You know what, Carol? Maybe it's time you moved out. For everyone's peace of mind. The threat was clear. But I smiled. Funny, I said. Because the police just told me you're the one who needs to leave. His face went pale. Mara stared at me, confused. What are you talking about? Before I could answer, headlights swept across the window. 2 police cars. Doors slammed. Detective Chin stepped onto the porch. Daniel's breath hitched. Mara turned to him, eyes wide with dawning horror. "Daniel, what did you do?" He didn't answer. He just looked at me. And in that look, I saw it, the first crack in his perfect mask. Fear. Real fear. Because he knew. The game was over. But as the officers cuffed him on the front lawn, as neighbors peeked through curtains, as Mara collapsed to her knees sobbing, I felt no victory. Only grief. For the trust we'd given him. For the months Lily suffered in silence. For the family that would never be whole again. Later that night, Lily crawled into my bed. "Is he gone for good?" she whispered. "Yes," I said, holding her tight. "Forever." She was quiet for a long time. Then, "Will Mommy hate me?" My heart broke. "No, baby," I lied again. "She'll love you more than ever." But I knew better. Because Mara had chosen him. And now she'd have to live with what that choice cost. Chapter 4. You don't get to decide what's best for my daughter. The morning after Daniel's arrest, the house felt like a tomb. Mara didn't speak at breakfast. She didn't cry. She just moved like a ghost, mechanical, hollow, folding Lily's school clothes with trembling hands. I watched her from the doorway, my coffee gone cold. "Mara," I said softly, "we need to talk." She didn't look up. "There's nothing to talk about, Mom. You destroyed my life. I protected your daughter." She finally turned, eyes red-rimmed, voice sharp as glass. "You assumed. You didn't ask me. You didn't give me a chance to handle it. You went behind my back, rallied parents, called the police, like I was part of the problem." "You were part of the problem," I said, quieter now. "Not because you're evil, Mara, but because you chose to believe him over your own child." She flinched like I'd slapped her. "I loved him," she whispered. "He made me feel safe again after Rick. He fixed everything." "No," I said. "He pretended to fix everything. And you let him." She turned away, but not before I saw the tear fall. By noon, she'd packed Lily's suitcase. I found them in the driveway, Lily clutching her stuffed rabbit, Mara holding the car keys like a weapon. "Where are you going?" I asked, stepping onto the porch. "To my sister's," Mara said, not meeting my eyes. "You don't get to decide what's best for my daughter anymore." I froze. "Mara, listen to yourself. You're taking her away from the one person who believed her." "She's my child," she snapped. "Not yours." The words hit like a hammer. But Lily looked at me, really looked, and in that second, I saw it, the silent plea. "Don't let her take me." I walked down the steps slowly, hands open, non-threatening. "Lily," I said, voice steady. "Do you want to go with Mommy?" She hesitated, glanced at Mara, then back at me. Her lower lip trembled. I want to stay with you, Grandma." Mara's face crumpled. "Lily, no. You don't understand. Grandma's just confused." But Lily shook her head. "I understand. He hurt me. And you didn't believe me." Mara went pale. I knelt in front of Lily, ignoring Mara's glare. "No one's making you go anywhere you don't want to go. Not anymore." Then I stood and faced my daughter. "If you take her against her will, I'll file for emergency guardianship." Detective Chin already has your statement from last night. You saw the photos. You know it's true. Mara's breath hitched. "You wouldn't." "I already have." Silence. The wind rustled the oak trees. A neighbor's dog barked in the distance. Finally, Mara dropped the keys. They hit the gravel with a soft clink. She turned and walked back into the house without another word. Lily ran to me, burying her face in my coat. I held her tight, heart pounding. But I knew this wasn't over. Mara wasn't evil, she was broken. And broken people cling to lies because the truth is too heavy to carry. That afternoon, I called my lawyer. Not because I wanted to fight my daughter, but because I had to protect Lily from the war coming. Legal reality check. In Oregon, grandparents have limited custody rights, but if a child is in danger and the parent is deemed unwilling or unable to protect, the court can intervene. Daniel's arrest gave us leverage. But Mara would fight. And she had one weapon I couldn't control, Lily's love for her mother. That night, Lily asked, "Will Mommy ever love me again?" I tucked her in, smoothing her hair. "She loves you more than anything. She's just lost right now. But she chose him." "Yes," I said. "And that's her shame to carry, not yours." She was quiet for a long time. Then, "Grandma, what if he gets out?" I didn't lie. He might. But by then, we'll be ready. The next move. I couldn't wait for the system. Daniel had connections. His father was a retired judge. His uncle owned half the local businesses. The school board was already whispering that this was a misunderstanding. So I went public. Not on social media, too easy to delete. I wrote a letter. Typed it on my old typewriter, the one my husband used to write love notes on. To the parents of Oak Ridge Elementary. My name is Carol Whitmore. My granddaughter, Lily, is in Mr. Reeves' 5th grade class. For months, she suffered in silence while a man you trusted stood in her room at night, watched her sleep, and took photos through her bathroom door. The police have evidence. The school has been notified. But I'm writing this because I know what you're thinking, not him. He's too kind, too respected. I thought the same. But children don't lie about this. They can't. Their bodies remember what their minds try to forget. If your child has ever come home quiet, flinched at a touch, stopped drawing, ask them. Gently. Without judgment. And if they whisper a name, believe them. A grandmother who almost waited too long. I printed 200 copies. Left one in every mailbox on our street. Slipped one under every windshield at the PTA meeting. Gave one to the librarian, the post office clerk, the diner waitress. By evening, the town was buzzing. Parents pulled their kids from Daniel's class. The school suspended him, pending investigation. A local news station called for comment. I said nothing. Let the truth spread like wildfire. But Daniel wasn't idle. 2 days later, Mara came to me, eyes swollen, holding her phone. "He called from jail," she said, voice flat. "Said you're lying. That you stole his phone to frame him. That you've always hated him." I didn't react. "What did you say?" I told him I didn't know what to believe. "And?" She looked at me, tears falling. "I want to believe you, Mom. But what if you're wrong? What if this ruins his life for nothing?" I took her hands. "Mara, look at Lily. Really look. Does she act like a child who's lying? Or like one who's been carrying a secret too heavy for her bones?" She broke down then, sobbing in my arms like she was 10 years old again. "I just wanted us to be happy," she whispered. I thought he was the answer. "You were the answer," I said. "You always were. You just forgot." The turning point. That night, Mara sat with Lily. Just the two of them. I heard them through the wall's soft voices, then crying, then silence. At 2 a.m., Mara came to my room. She held out her phone. On the screen, a text from Daniel, sent the day before his arrest. "If your mother keeps pushing this, I'll tell everyone about your DUI last year. CPS loves drunk moms." Mara's hands shook. "He threatened to take Lily from me if I didn't control you." I pulled her into a hug. "Now you see." She nodded, tears streaming. "I'll testify. I'll tell them everything." But I stopped her. "No, not yet." "Why not?" "Because he's still playing chess," I said. "And we need to let him think he's winning, until the moment he isn't." The trap. I called Detective Chin. "Can you get him to confess on record?" She hesitated. "Only if he thinks he's safe. If he thinks someone's on his side." I knew who that had to be. The next day, I visited Daniel in county jail. He sat behind the glass, clean-shaven, wearing an orange jumpsuit that looked wrong on him. When he saw me, he smiled. "Carol," he said through the speaker. "Come to apologize?" I sat down, folded my hands. "I came to ask for your forgiveness." His eyebrows lifted. "Really?" "I was wrong," I said, voice trembling on purpose. "I let fear control me." "Mara's furious with me. Lily won't even look at me. I've lost everything. He leaned closer, eyes gleaming. You should have stayed out of it. I know, I whispered. But is there any way to fix this? Can we say it was a misunderstanding? I'll tell the police I found the phone somewhere else. I'll say Lily was confused. He studied me, then smiled slowly. Maybe, but you'd have to do exactly what I say. Anything. He glanced around, lowered his voice. There's a USB drive hidden in my office at school. Locker 214. It has proof that Lily's been lying. Photos of her staging scenes. You get it, and I'll make this all go away. My blood ran cold. He was baiting me, trying to get me to tamper with evidence. But I nodded, eyes wide with hope. I'll get it tonight. He leaned back, satisfied. Good girl. As I stood to leave, he added, and Carol, if you tell anyone about this, I'll make sure you never see Lily again. I walked out without looking back. But in my pocket, the recorder Detective Chin had given me was still running. Chapter 5. The List of Names. I never intended to retrieve the USB drive. Daniel's request was a trap designed to lure me into tampering with evidence, to paint me as unstable, obsessive, even criminal. But as I stood outside Oak Ridge Elementary that night, keys in hand, I realized something. Even traps can hold truth. The school was empty. Dark. The kind of silence that hums with secrets. I slipped through the side gate, unlocked, thanks to the janitor's habit of leaving it ajar for early deliveries. My boots echoed on the linoleum as I moved down the hallway toward room 214, Daniel's classroom. The air smelled of chalk dust and old paper. Posters of multiplication tables and respect others lined the walls. On his desk, a framed photo of him and Mara at their wedding. His smile was perfect. His eyes, now I saw it, were empty. I found locker 214 in the staff hallway. Rusted hinge. Combination lock. I tried his birthday. No. Mara's. No. Then Lily's. Click. The locker opened. Inside, a black USB drive, wrapped in a rubber band. Just as he'd described. I almost left it. But then I saw it, tucked beneath a stack of graded quizzes, a small notebook. Spiral-bound. Unmarked. Curiosity killed the cat, they say. But sometimes, curiosity saves a child. I took both. Back in my car, under the dim glow of the dome light, I opened the notebook. And my blood turned to ice. It wasn't a diary. It was a list. Names. Dates. Ages. Emily R., 9, Oak Ridge Elementary, 2023. Tyler M., 11, Summer Camp, 2022. Lily W., 10, Home, 2024. Jasmine K., 8, After School Tutoring, 2023. Noah P., 10, School Play Rehearsal, 2022. 12 names. All children. All under 12. All connected to Daniel, through school, camp, tutoring, or community mentorship. At the bottom of the last page, a single sentence underlined twice. They never remember. And no one ever believes them. I vomited in the parking lot. Not from disgust, though that came later, but from the sheer, suffocating weight of realization. This wasn't about Lily. This was a pattern. A career. A life built on the silence of children. I drove straight to Detective Chen's house. Didn't call. Just knocked. She opened the door in sweatpants, hair messy, but her eyes sharpened the second she saw my face. I found it, I said, voice raw. He's been doing this for years. She took the notebook without a word. Flipped through it. Her jaw tightened. This changes everything, she said. This isn't just abuse. This is predation on an organized scale. Are these real? I asked. Or did he make them up to scare me? We'll verify, she said. But even if half are true, this man has been hunting children like sport. She called her team. Within an hour, they'd cross-referenced the names. 3 matched missing persons reports from neighboring counties. 2 children had been diagnosed with severe PTSD after unexplained behavioral shifts. 1, Jasmine K. had moved schools abruptly last year. Her mother told the principal it was family reasons. But when Detective Chin called her anonymously, the woman broke down in tears. He used to stay late with her, she whispered. Said she was gifted. I thought he was helping. She'd never filed a report. Too ashamed. Too afraid no one would believe her. Now, we had proof. Not just photos. Not just one child's word. A pattern. And patterns convict monsters. The fallout begins. By morning, the school board suspended Daniel indefinitely. The state education department launched an emergency audit. Parents flooded the police tip line with stories they'd buried for years. But Daniel wasn't idle. From jail, he called Mara. I know because she told me, voice trembling, eyes hollow. He said you're framing him, she said. That you stole his notebook and wrote those names yourself. And you? I asked gently. She looked at me, tears falling. I looked up Jasmine's mom. Called her myself. She confirmed everything. She collapsed into my arms then, not as my daughter, but as a woman waking from a nightmare. I'm so sorry, Mom, she sobbed. I chose him over her. Over you. You chose love, I said. He just made it look like him. But the war wasn't over. 2 days later, Daniel's lawyer filed a motion. Claimed the notebook was obtained illegally since I'd entered school property without a warrant. Detective Chin fought back. She was invited by the suspect himself to retrieve evidence. It's entrapment by him, not her. The judge agreed. The notebook stayed in evidence. Then came the bombshell. During a forensic scan of Daniel's second phone, the one from the gym locker, techs found encrypted cloud backups. They cracked the password, Lily 2024. Inside, hundreds of images, videos, voice recordings, and a folder labeled Legacy. What we found there haunts me still. Not just photos of Lily, but of the other children. Smiling, sleeping, crying. And one video, just 10 seconds long. Daniel's voice, soft, soothing. You're special, Lily. No one else understands you like I do. If you tell, Grandma will disappear. And you'll be all alone. Lily's voice, barely a whisper. I won't tell. The room went silent when Detective Chin played it for us. Mara vomited. I didn't cry. I got angry. Because in that moment, I realized justice wasn't enough. He needed to lose everything. His reputation. His freedom. His illusion of control. And I knew how to do it. The final play. I called the local news station, the one that had ignored me weeks ago. I have evidence, I said. Not just about my granddaughter. About a predator who's been hiding in plain sight for over a decade. They came. I gave them nothing illegal, just the public record, the arrest, the search warrant, the school suspension. But I also gave them names. Not the victims, never that. But the enablers. The principal who ignored complaints. The counselor who called Lily dramatic. The school board member who said, boys will be boys. And I told them this. If you protect predators, you're part of the crime. The story exploded. By noon, the principal resigned. By evening, the school board held an emergency meeting. By midnight, parents were demanding criminal charges against administrators who covered it up. Daniel watched it all from his cell. And for the first time, he looked afraid. But the cruelest twist came from within. His own father, the retired judge, disowned him. I raised a son, he told reporters, voice shaking. Not a monster. His mother stopped visiting. His friends vanished. Even his gym buddies, men who'd laughed at his jokes about trusting kids, now called him sick. He was alone. Exactly as he'd tried to make Lily. That night, Lily asked me a question that shattered me. Grandma, will he ever hurt another kid again? I looked her in the eyes, no lies this time. No, I said. Because I made sure the world will never forget what he did. She nodded. Then, softly, good. Not, I hope so. Not, do you think? Just, good. In that word, I heard the birth of something new. Not just healing. Power. She wasn't just surviving. She was learning to fight. and I would be right beside her. Chapter 6. The Sealed Envelope. I thought the evidence was ironclad. The notebook, the cloud backups, the victim testimonies, the video from the school hallway, even the recorder from our jailhouse conversation, where Daniel practically confessed to planting false evidence to discredit Lily. It should have been over. But the day before trial, everything changed. Detective Chin called me at 6 a.m., her voice tight, stripped of its usual calm. "Carol, we have a problem." My stomach dropped. What happened? Daniel's father met with Judge Whitaker yesterday. Hand-delivered a sealed envelope. This morning, the judge dismissed 3 of the most serious charges: illegal surveillance, possession of child imagery, and predatory grooming. I gripped the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. "On what grounds?" "Procedural irregularities," she said bitterly. Said the search of the gym locker lacked proper chain of custody documentation. Claimed the notebook was obtained through trespassing. And the jail recording? He ruled it coerced entrapment. But he asked me to retrieve the USB. He invited me into the trap. "Doesn't matter," Chin said. The judge bought the narrative. And now, the only charge left is unlawful entry into a minor's bedroom. A misdemeanor. He could walk in 6 months. I sank into my kitchen chair, the world tilting. This isn't justice. This is cover-up. "No," Chin said quietly. "This is power. The judge's secret." I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I dug. Not into court records, those were sealed now. I went deeper. I called every retired clerk, every courthouse janitor, every local reporter who'd covered Judge Whitaker's career. And then I found it. 20 years ago, Whitaker presided over a custody case involving a man named Elias Reeves, Daniel's uncle. The man was accused of molesting his niece. The case vanished. No trial. No record. Just a quiet dismissal. And the guardian ad litem? A young attorney named Robert Reeves, Daniel's father. He didn't just defend his brother. He bribed the system. And now, decades later, he was doing it again, this time for his son. I printed everything. Drove to Chen's office before dawn. She read the file in silence. Then looked up, eyes blazing. If this is true, Whitaker's compromised. He's protecting the Reeves family legacy. Then we go public, I said. No, she said sharply. If we leak this now, they'll bury it as desperate smear tactics. We need proof he took the envelope. I knew what that meant. We needed to catch him red-handed. The trap within the trap. Chin got a warrant for a hidden camera in the judge's antechamber, framed as security upgrade after a break-in rumor. The next day, Daniel's father returned. At 3:17 p.m., he walked into the courthouse, briefcase in hand. At 3:22, he entered Judge Whitaker's private office. At 3:28, he left without the briefcase. At 3:30, the judge emerged, walked to the clerk's desk, and handed over a new motion to dismiss all remaining charges. We had him. But we couldn't use the footage, not without exposing the illegal camera. So Chin did something brilliant. She leaked the existence of the footage, not the content, to the State Judicial Ethics Board. Anonymous tip. Judge Whitaker accepted a sealed bribe from Robert Reeves to dismiss child predator charges. Video evidence exists. Within hours, the board launched an emergency investigation. The trial was postponed. And Daniel's father? He stopped visiting. For the first time, the Reeves family looked afraid. But Daniel wasn't done. From jail, he filed a countersuit. Against me. Claimed I defamed him by spreading malicious rumors to the media. Sought full custody of Lily to protect her from psychological manipulation by a vindictive grandmother. And demanded $2 million in damages. Mara collapsed when she read the papers. He's trying to take her, she whispered, tears streaming. After everything, he still thinks he can win. I held her. He's not winning. He's panicking. But I knew the truth. In family court, perception often beats evidence. And Daniel had spent months painting me as unstable, obsessive, unhinged. All I had was a traumatized child and a mountain of digital proof that kept getting dismissed. I needed something undeniable, something human. Lily's decision. That night, I sat with Lily on the porch, fireflies blinking in the dusk. "Grandma," she said suddenly, "what if I talk to the judge?" My blood ran cold. "No, sweetheart. You don't have to. But if I don't, he might go free. And hurt someone else." I looked at her, really looked. She wasn't the trembling child from chapter 1. She was 10 years old, yes. But she carried a clarity most adults never earn. "Are you sure?" I asked. She nodded. "I want to tell the truth. Not for me. For the other kids." The next morning, I called Chin. "I want Lily to testify." Chin hesitated. "It's risky. Cross-examination could re-traumatize her." "She's ready," I said. "And if we don't let her speak, we're silencing her all over again." Chin agreed. "But we do it right. No courtroom. No Daniel in the room. Under Oregon's Child Witness Protection Protocol, she could testify via closed-circuit video from a safe room with a therapist present. And her words would be played for the judge and jury." The testimony. The day of her testimony, Lily wore her favorite yellow dress, the one she'd stopped wearing after Daniel moved in. She sat in a quiet room at the courthouse, soft blankets around her, Dr. Ruiz beside her. The camera light blinked red. And she spoke. Not in whispers. Not in fragments. In clear, steady sentences. He came into my room almost every night. Sometimes he just watched me sleep. Sometimes he touched my back and said I was special. Once, he put his hand over my mouth and said, "If you tell, Grandma disappears." I believed him. "Because I love you, Grandma. And I couldn't lose you too." She described the photos. The videos. The way he'd stand in the doorway after Mara fell asleep. Then she said something that made even the prosecutor cry. I tried to tell Mommy, but she looked at me like I was lying. So I stopped talking. But I never stopped being scared. Not until Grandma believed me. When it was over, she turned to the camera and said, "Please don't let him hurt anyone else. They might not have a grandma like mine." The fallout. The courtroom erupted. Parents wept. Jurors covered their faces. Even Judge Whitaker, now under ethics investigation, looked shaken. But Daniel's lawyer stood and said, "Your Honor, this is emotional manipulation. A child coached by a biased guardian." And that's when Mara stood up. From the gallery. "I coached her." Mara's voice rang out, raw and furious. "I ignored her. I chose him over her. And I will spend the rest of my life regretting it." She walked to the bench, tears streaming. "I am Lily's mother. And I swear under oath every word she said is true. I saw the photos. I read his threats. I heard his lies. And if you let him walk, you're telling every child in this state that their truth doesn't matter." The room fell silent. Even Daniel's father looked away. But the rail bomb came that evening. Another victim came forward. Not a child. A woman. Sarah Lynn, 29, former student of Daniel's, now a social worker. She'd been 16 when he mentored her. She had texts, emails, a diary, and a recording made on her phone of Daniel saying, "You're lucky I chose you. Most girls don't get this kind of attention." She'd stayed silent for 13 years. But after seeing Lily's testimony, she couldn't anymore. "I thought I was the only one," she told the press. "But he's been doing this his whole life." Her evidence couldn't be dismissed. Because it wasn't digital. It was human. And it shattered the last pillar of Daniel's defense. Chapter 7. The truth doesn't beg, it burns. The package arrived on a Tuesday. No return address. No postage stamp. Just brown paper, twine, and a single drop of red wax stamped with the initials RR. Robert Reeves. Daniel's father. My hands didn't shake as I unwrapped it. After everything, the threats, the bribes, the way he'd tried to buy justice like it was a loaf of bread, I knew this wasn't a gift. It was a surrender. Inside, a small brass key and a note. Safety deposit box number 417. First National Bank. You win. But remember, some doors, once opened, can't be closed. I didn't hesitate. By noon, I stood in the vaulted silence of First National, Detective Chin beside me, bank manager sweating under his collar. Box number 417 opened with a soft click. Inside, not cash, not jewelry, a stack of manila folders, each labeled with a name: Emily R., Tyler M., Jasmine K., Noah P., Lily W., and one more, Sarah Lynn. But these weren't just lists. These were dossiers, school records, medical reports, police statements dismissed, therapist notes redacted, parent interviews buried. Robert Reeves hadn't just protected his son. He'd built an archive of silence. Every child Daniel had touched, every family he'd intimidated, every official he'd paid off, it was all here. Organized, indexed, preserved like trophies. At the bottom of the box, a USB drive labeled Legacy, Final. We took everything to Chen's office. Within hours, text decrypted the drive. What we found wasn't just evidence. It was a confession. Video logs. Dozens of them. Daniel, alone in his home office, speaking to a camera like a man recording his memoirs. They think I'm broken, he says in one, smiling faintly. But I'm not. I'm refined. I don't take what I want, I earn it. Trust. Affection. Access. And once you have that, a child is yours forever. In another, he's reviewing Lily's school photo. She's perfect. Quiet. Observant. And her mother? Blind. Her grandmother? Sentimental. They'll never see me. Not really. But the final video, dated 3 days before his arrest, was different. He's not calm. He's furious. If they take me down, I'll drag them all with me. Mara's DUI. Carol's forged will from 2018. The school board's embezzlement. Let's see who the public believes when the truth is everyone is dirty. He wasn't just a predator. He was a blackmailer. And he'd been collecting leverage for years. The leverage backfires. Chin didn't leak the videos. She played them for the state attorney general. By morning, the case was federal. Daniel wasn't just facing child endangerment. He was facing racketeering, witness tampering, extortion, and conspiracy. His father's archive, meant to control the narrative, became the smoking gun that sealed his fate. Robert Reeves was arrested at his country club. Mara watched the news in silence. Then she turned to me and said, I used to think love meant forgiveness. Now I know it means protection. The trial restarts, this time with teeth. Judge Whitaker recused himself after the ethics investigation. A new judge, Judge Elena Morales, known for zero tolerance on child crimes, was assigned. Daniel's lawyer tried to plea. Misdemeanor trespass. 6 months. Probation. Judge Morales laughed. You're asking me to treat a serial predator like a shoplifter? No. We go to trial. And your client will sit in that box every single day and listen to every child he broke. The courtroom was packed. Not just parents. Survivors. Therapists. Teachers who'd ignored red flags. Even the janitor from Oak Ridge Elementary, who'd seen Daniel tutoring a boy after hours and said nothing. Lily didn't testify live, but her recorded statement played on a screen. And this time, no one called it coached. They called it brave. Then Sarah Lynn took the stand. Not as a victim, as a witness for the prosecution. I stayed silent for 13 years, she said, voice steady, because I thought no one would believe me. But this little girl, Lily, she gave me the courage to speak. And if my voice helps put him away forever, then my silence wasn't wasted. She described how Daniel groomed her, extra attention, private study sessions, gifts, then isolation, then touch. He told me I was special, that I understood him, that if I told, no one would care, because who believes a girl over a teacher? The jury wept. Then came the final witness, Mara. She walked to the stand in a simple black dress, no makeup, hair pulled back. She didn't look at Daniel. She looked at Lily, sitting in the front row with me. I failed her, Mara said, voice breaking. Not because I didn't love her, but because I loved the idea of safety more than I loved the truth. I wanted to believe the man who fixed my life was good. But real love doesn't ignore pain. Real love sees it. She turned to the jury. Don't make my mistake. When a child says they're scared, believe them, even if it destroys your world. Because their world is already on fire. Daniel didn't react, but I saw it, the flicker in his eyes. For the first time, he wasn't in control. He was exposed. The verdict. Deliberation took 47 minutes. Guilty on all 28 counts, including 12 counts of child sexual abuse, 5 counts of illegal surveillance, 3 counts of witness intimidation, 2 counts of evidence tampering, 6 counts of racketeering. Sentence: life without parole. No appeals. No early release. Just concrete and silence. As they led him away in chains, Daniel turned to me one last time. His lips moved. I read them clearly. You think you won. I didn't smile. I just mouthed back. I know I did. Aftermath, the cost of truth. The town didn't throw a parade, but something quieter happened. Parents hugged their kids tighter. Teachers attended mandatory abuse training. The school board was replaced. And Lily? She started drawing again. Not sunflowers. Phoenixes. Rising from ash. One afternoon, she handed me a new picture. Me, standing in front of a burning house, holding her hand. At the bottom, in careful script, my grandma didn't just save me. She taught me how to burn the monsters. I framed it, hung it above my bed. Mara's redemption. She didn't move back in right away. She got her own apartment. Started therapy. Volunteered at a children's advocacy center. One night, she came over with takeout and a bottle of wine. I'm not asking for forgiveness, she said. I'm asking for a chance to be the mother Lily deserves. I hugged her. You already are. We didn't talk about Daniel. We talked about Lily's soccer game. Her new best friend. The book she was reading. Normal things. Precious things. The letter I never sent. I wrote Daniel a letter the night before his sentencing. Not to gloat. To bear witness. You thought children were yours to use. But they belong to themselves. And Lily? She belongs to the future, a future you'll never touch. You wanted legacy? Here it is. Every child who speaks up because of her. Every parent who listens because of us. That's your legacy now. Not admiration. Not respect. Warning. I burned it in the backyard. Watched the ashes rise like ghosts. 1 year later, Lily turned 11. We threw a small party, just us, Mara, Dr. Ruiz, and Sarah Lynn. No balloons. No cake. Just a picnic in the park. As the sun set, Lily sat beside me on the swing. Grandma, she said, do you think he's still thinking about us? I looked at her, strong, calm, eyes clear. No, I said. I think he's finally learning what it feels like to be alone. She nodded, then smiled. Good. We swung in silence for a while. Then she said, I want to be a lawyer when I grow up. Why? I asked. So I can make sure no kid ever has to whisper their truth again. I kissed the top of her head. And for the first time in years, I felt peace. Not because the monster was gone, but because the light had returned. Epilogue, the ripple. 6 months after the verdict, I got a call. A mother in Idaho. Her daughter had seen Lily's story online. She'd just whispered, Mom, my coach is doing what that man did to Lily. They went to the police. He's in jail now. Then another call. From Texas. Then Florida. Then Canada. Not all led to convictions, but all led to investigations. All led to children being heard. Lily's story became a whisper that turned into a roar. And I realized revenge wasn't about destroying Daniel. It was about building something he could never touch. A world where a child's fear is met with belief. Not doubt. Not silence. Action. If you're watching this and your heart is pounding, if you've ever doubted a child's whisper or silenced your own fear, you're not alone. This story reached you for a reason. Maybe it's time to listen. Maybe it's time to speak. Because the next Lily is counting on someone like you to believe her before it's too late.